Excellent. Welcome to everyone. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Truscott, and I'm the chair of the Council of Fellows Executive Committee, and I have with me Kay Williams, a recent past member of the Council of Fellows jury, and Kurt Millay, Corporate Secretary of ASLA. We hope today's presentation will help those of you currently preparing nominations for yourself or others, or may help those thinking of submitting a nomination sometime in the future. The presentation will be recorded and placed on the Council of Fellows website for reference throughout the year. As you can see from the agenda, we will discuss eligibility and procedures for nomination, choosing the right category for your nominees, using the required template to best effect, and deadlines and submission process to ASLA. I, along with my co-presenters, will go through the presentation and then open the floor to any questions. I'd like to ask you to mute your phone, which I think Kurt's already taken care of, until such time you might have a question, and that will avoid any excessive background noise. The designation of fellow is conferred to individuals in recognition of exceptional accomplishments over a sustained period of time. Individuals eligible for fellowship must have 10 years of continuous full membership. Years of student or associate member do not count toward the requirement of full membership. Kurt sent lists of eligible members to all chapters back in August. Please review the lists before nominating someone. If someone is not on the list, feel free to contact Kurt at ASLA and find out why. Individuals who have lapsed membership may pay dues for missed years and have their original start date reinstated per the ASLA bylaws. An individual may not, however, purchase years prior to original member date to fulfill the eligibility requirement. Eligible candidates may be nominated by their chapter, the Council of Fellows Executive Committee, or the ASLA Executive Committee. If an individual belongs to a chapter, the best place to start is with the chapter. However, international members without chapters should submit their completed nomination templates to the Council of Fellows Executive Committee. The Council of Fellows Executive Committee may also be an appropriate starting place for those domestic members who have moved around a lot and don't have a real affiliation for the current chapter where they're residing. The submissions will be reviewed by the Council of Fellows Executive Committee for possible nomination. If nominated, the submission will be forwarded to jury along with other chapter nominations. The deadline for submissions to the Council of Fellows Executive Committee those deadlines are earlier than chapter deadlines, so please review those deadlines. An individual may be nominated in one of four categories: knowledge, leadership management, service, or works. If a candidate has a record of accomplishment in more than one area, the nominee may submit in up to two categories. However, two separate nominations must be submitted, and each should be tailored toward the specific nomination category. The knowledge category is designed not only for educators, but also for those who bring a broader vision of knowledge to the profession. And this is important. The jury will be looking for accomplishments such as influencing the public's knowledge of landscape architecture, or advancing education, or the creation of significant new knowledge that advances the field. Note the third bullet of jury criteria says creation of new knowledge. And that's really important in this category. Examples of creation of new knowledge may be research or scholarly inquiry that has been recognized by peers. And I think that's a really important factor too, recognized by peers. Teaching or mentoring in the university or workplace that has been recognized by peers, published works or other media that convey important ideas about landscape architecture with critical acclaim. It is important to establish that peers or outside experts have deemed work significant. Candidates for this category, which is leadership and management, should demonstrate accomplishments in leadership, administrative, and managerial ability of people, projects, policy, and programs that have significantly advanced the practice of landscape architecture or that have significantly advanced public recognition of design, planning, or management of the land. The leadership accomplishments may occur in public, private, nonprofit, and academic practice settings. Be sure to clarify the individual's role versus the firm's or organizational's role in accomplishments for this category. And I think that's important across the board in all the categories that many of us work in teams. We need to make sure that in the information we submit to the jury that it's really clear, that we don't make the jury guess. Service. This category should document service activities over an extended period of time that have significantly advanced the profession and landscape architecture in the eyes of the public and serves as an example for others. The jurors will be looking for exceptional accomplishments as a volunteer at the state, local, national, and/or international level, sustained over an extended period of time, that are truly inspiring and serve as examples to others. Activities that contribute to the advancement of the profession. Activities that advance public recognition of the profession. Please emphasize how the service is above and beyond one's job description. Clarify whether the service is paid or pro bono. There too, in a very important detail, because many of us do a lot of pro bono work, and it's really important to define if it is paid or pro bono. Emphasize results of service. Explain how service to ASLA or other organizations benefited the profession and public. So licensure, public relations, public education, those are all examples. Works. This category should document mastery of design in significant completed works of landscape planning or design, which has advanced the art, stewardship, and social responsibility of landscape architecture. While planning projects need not be implemented, the planning should have been completed and the project should have received recognition such as awards. And here again, we go back to the peer awards of work. Projects may include small or large public or private or local, regional, national, or international landscapes. Works is the only category for which images are allowed and required. We will talk about images for this section a little later in the presentations. Jurors will be looking for exceptional accomplishments in planning and or design that exhibit outstanding quality and significant impact on public and profession as evidenced by peer recognition. Once again, peer review, peer recognition.
Okay, thanks, Mark. I'm going to talk about the use of the templates. So the use of the 5-page template is required for all categories, and they're all available on the website. If you go to the section about categories and templates, they're available in Word, Publisher, or InDesign. So new this year are category-specific templates. Before, we used the same template for each category, and this year, as a process improvement for both the jurors and the nominees, we have tailored each template toward the category criteria, the jurors' criteria which they're using. So that'll respond to the headings in the templates, as well as how the sidebars are placed on the sides. So this right here, this slide right here is just sort of the general templates and its components. You see on the left are the sidebars where you can list education, experience, honors and awards. Items that are listed in here should, if you're listing honors and awards or leadership experience, they should be referred to also in the narrative. Obviously not everything in the sidebars can be in the narrative, but there should be obviously some correspondence there. You'll see the box at the top says executive summary. Use that 200, 300 words to summarize why this nominee is exceptional, and then use the narrative following that to reinforce it. But this is really the punch you have to catch the juror's eyes in a few seconds to really say why this person is exceptional. We're showing a box around this. You don't have to have a box around it. A heading, a bold heading is fine. But it's a great way to show the jurors the exceptional quality of someone. And then for all categories, the last page should be a summary of the nominee by the chapter, signed by the chapter president. We'll go through that a little bit later. But I'll go through the specific templates now. On the right here are the testimonial box. Each nominee has only 4 testimonials. These are testimonials from colleagues, clients, etc. And Kay will talk about testimonials a little bit further. 75 words only. If you go beyond 75 words, we will return it and have you revise it before submitting it to the jury. So the first template is knowledge, and again, you have the executive summary box to start, but the headings are broken down by the jury criteria. So the first heading to address is the exceptional accomplishments sustained over an extended period of time. And then the next one, specific influence of the nominee's accomplishments in this category on the profession, on the public's knowledge base of landscape architecture. And then the nominee's role in advancing education and profession. Now, how much text you put between each heading is entirely up to you. However, you can make your strongest case is the way to go about that. In addition to the headings, which are specific to the criteria, the sidebars are a little bit different for each category. Here, for knowledge, education is certainly important, but then also publications and research is ahead of the other items. So that also helps to reinforce the case for knowledge. In leadership management, likewise, begins with the executive summary. The sidebars begin with professional leadership activities, which is more appropriate to this category, then honors and awards and other activities. Headings here are exceptional accomplishments sustained over an extended period of time, influence and impact of the work on the profession in landscape architecture, and contribution to the public advancement of the profession. Personal leadership role and administrative ability demonstrated in the accomplishment of project initiation or design, policy, formation, or planning. So each of these criteria are, for each nominee, the jurors are scoring you, from 1 to 5 or whatever it is on each of these items. So just think of that when you're writing these pieces. Service. Exceptional accomplishments as a volunteer at the local, state, national, and/or international levels, sustained over an extended period of time, that are truly inspiring and serve as an example to others. Or notable activities that contribute to the advancement of the profession of landscape architecture and public recognition of the profession. and professional service activities leads up the sidebar. In works, the criteria are the nominee's exceptional accomplishments in planning and or design, which have been sustained over a period of time. Then completed works, which demonstrate mastery of the art, stewardship, and social responsibility of landscape architecture. Then projects that demonstrate outstanding quality and significant impact on the public and profession, evidence through recognition. And honors and awards are highlighted on this, in the sidebar on this template. They're very important to this category, peer recognition. And then this category, works, also requires a PowerPoint presentation, which we'll talk about later. And I'm going to hand it over to Kay, who's going to talk about the narrative.
Hello.
Hello.
Structure the narrative to address the criteria of each category. Follow up the how and why in the executive summary with examples and evidence throughout the narrative that explain and prove excellence. We posted some examples from each category on the website in addition to the ones that we are showing here. So here are a few tips. Focus on the nominee's best of the best achievements, especially in the narrative. For works, 4 to 5 examples seem to fit well in the pages allowed. Other categories may lend themselves to fewer or more. Additional examples can always be put in the sidebar. Document how valuable the results have been. Jurors should never have to wonder why something is important or what impact it had, or why is this exceptional when lots of other folks are doing similar things. When proofing the package, you need to make sure that no one can ask, so what, about any statement, award, etc. The writing should be enthusiastic, substantive, and succinct, but avoid hyperbole. The work speaks for itself through documentable impacts and innovations. Subheadings and bullets can break up the narrative for ease of review, but don't use a CV or resume format. Above all, think about how you can make this easier for jurors to read and to understand. Next slide, please.
Okay. I think this is the right one.
Okay, yes.
Good.
Okay. In all categories, it's important to clarify the specific role of the nominee in the projects or the works. Be precise in giving attribution. For example, if the firm got an award or the project was collaborative, what key roles did the nominee play? When part of a collaboration or when leading a project, how did the nominee affect the project's significance, its progress, its results? Use action verbs and, if appropriate, details that explain the significance. For example, the nominee led 7 agencies in the state's first major collaborative effort to Or in 2004, the nominee created guidelines that are still used as best practice for the restoration of. You can get a lot of detail in a few words. Provide evidence of impact. It's not enough to serve on a committee or to be on an advisory board. What were the results? Testimonials.
Oops, hold on. This is not. There we go.
Testimonials are a great way to indicate wide support and recognition, as well as reinforce the candidate's accomplishments. Each nomination is allowed only 4. If the submission has more than 4, ASLA will return it and ask you to remove excess testimonials before resubmittal. Diversify the testimonial writers. Use clients, colleagues, municipal or public officials, an existing fellow, alumni whose own success is due in great part to the nominee. This helps to show the breadth of the nominee's influence. Try to go outside ASLA to show the impact of the nominee's work. Also, don't use too many ASLA officers as testimonial writers. Do not use supervisors of any kind. While a supervisor may give a testimonial with the best of intentions, it always reflects well in an organization to have its employees recognized. So it's best to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest. The testimonials should be specific to the accomplishments addressed in the narrative and the criteria of the category. If possible, ask the writers to back up the accomplishments and results that are already referred to in the narrative, but don't repeat information verbatim. Is there a specific or additional insight the writer can give? And avoid using generic references. Something specific carries far more impact.
Okay, I'm going to tip in on this. Those testimonials,
okay,
they take a while to get. So I really encourage everybody to reach out and try to get those testimonials moving, because oftentimes they may be the one piece that you miss because you may not be able to get enough testimonials in by the deadline. So on the critical path, starting your testimonials, getting more than you need, and then selecting the really good ones that show a cross-section probably is the most difficult work that you'll have to do in the submittal.
Thanks, Mark. Now, going on to the sidebars. These elements are for listing education, work experience, awards, and recognitions. Any professional experience, awards, recognition that are addressed in the narrative should be listed in the sidebars, but don't limit the information in the sidebars to just those examples. These lists are good ways to quickly show the depth and diversity, as well as sustained efforts within the category. And it also gives a fuller picture of the individual. Organize all the sidebar information in chronological order, beginning with the most recent accomplishments or events that are most relevant to the category. List the dates of all events and awards. It's important to provide a sense of time when specific accomplishments were achieved in the nominee's career. Include national and local awards. And it's very important to clarify which is national, regional, local, and emphasize those that are specific to the criteria of the nomination. Recognition does not have to be awards. It can be evidence that the nominee is viewed as an expert in the field. For example, speaking engagements at meetings of another profession, invitations to sit on significant juries. If you have hundreds of speaking engagements or projects or events to list, don't list them all. Selectively edit them to include the most important to the nomination. Likewise, don't just list every conference or event you've attended. You should clarify your role at the event. Were you a speaker or an organizer, for example? I'm going to turn it over to Mark now.
Thank you very much. You know, Works is the only category that requires or allows images. You must use the PowerPoint template that is downloadable on the website. And I want to reiterate that you have to use the PowerPoint template that is downloaded on the website. Review the examples on the website to see how others have successfully organized and presented their images. Multiple images are allowed on one page. However, each image must be numbered individually and counts toward the 20 image limit. 20 images, not 20 pages. If you submit more than 20 images, it will be returned for revision. So 20 images. For each image, include the nominee's name, image number, title of project, and a descriptive caption of no more than 50 words. Please provide a succinct caption of why the image is important. Include award information in the caption if applicable. Here again, the award information helps the jury understand that it has peer review, peer response. Highlight 4 to 5 projects using 4 to 5 images for each project. Do not show too many pictures of one project. Projects used in the PowerPoint should be addressed in the narrative. Do not introduce a project in the PowerPoint only. Show award-winning projects over non-award-winning projects. And here again, it goes back to peer review. Use the best professional photography possible. It makes a huge difference. Update old photography if possible. If not possible, explain importance of using image, of the image that you're using. There may be a dated project where the photography was very old and you really can't enhance it. Be descriptive about why the image is important. Award-winning project that has been demolished is one example. Show the changes over time in the landscape. Photoshopped constructions should be labeled as such. Please do not make the jurors guess if something is real or not. Generally use the best, most effective illustrations possible. Use good photography of built projects, plans, and drawings for planning projects. Use illustrations that will captivate the audience and represent the excellence of the project. Okay?
The chapter executive committee decides who is nominated by that body. The chapter may get many recommendations or requests, but ultimately the chapter makes the decision on who is nominated. The chapter, therefore, should be very familiar with the nomination and should be able to stand behind its contents. Many chapters have fellows committees to review and help prepare the nominations. Internal chapter deadlines prior to the final submission are a very good practice, so that the chapter president or ex-com is not seeing the nomination for the first time on the day of the deadline. When the chapter president signs off on the nomination, they are attesting that the information in the nomination is true and correct. A new president or the majority of the ex-com may not know the candidate very well. This is the time to contact other chapters, fellows within your chapter, etc. Everybody should feel comfortable supporting the package, and seeking outside advice may greatly enhance the package in the long run. Telling a nominee at the chapter level that the package should not go forward is a very hard decision to make, but it may be a way to help the nominee improve. Now, we all hope that such a decision will never be made at the last minute, when people have put considerable time and effort into the package. This is another reason that interim due dates and reviews are important. The chapters should do a thorough vetting of all packages.
Kay, I'm going to jump in here really quickly because I think it's important for everybody to understand that the candidate may not be ready to submit now. You may have everything together. You may be missing key testimonial or something, and it may be better just to wait a year. It makes everybody's job a lot easier if the chapter seriously vets each submittal. And that's really important because none of us want to reject anybody. We'd love to celebrate everyone. And there are no quotas. We don't have to have a certain number every year. So that said, we're really relying on the chapters to do proper vetting, put together excellent packages so that we can celebrate a lot of professionals' work.
And the last tip I'm going to give is the summary. It doesn't have to be long and detailed. It certainly doesn't have to be a whole page if you need that space to better flesh out the importance of the narrative. Just make sure that it restates the impact of the nominee and why the chapter supports this package. Mark,
okay.
Over to you.
So our completed nominations from chapters are due to ASLA headquarters by Friday, January 26, 2018 at 11:59 p.m. Pacific time, and using only the online system, which Kurt will walk you through in a minute. All nominations must be signed by the chapter president only. Chapters should submit a list of nominees for each chapter to Kurt sometime before the deadline to ensure all nominations are received. So please get them in as early as you can and just double check and make sure that all the information's there with Kurt so that we don't have any missing applications. International members should send submissions using the fully completed template to ASLA by Friday, January 1st. They will be reviewed for possible nomination by the Council of Fellows Executive Committee. Create separate files for the 5-page nomination statement and the PowerPoint. If applicable, please upload PDF files only. For PowerPoints, you may upload PowerPoint or PDF files. The jury convenes March 16th, and results will be announced 3 to 4 weeks following that. Kurt?
Okay, I want to just walk you through the online submission system, which we've been using for a few years now. And it really is just, it shouldn't be too complicated. It's really just a method of uploading the submission to us. So really your focus should be on creating, the 5-page nomination statement and the PowerPoint. The links to the submission site are available on the website, the COF website. So you'll click on that. You'll be asked to create an account if you don't already have an account. And you don't have to necessarily be the nominee to create the account. So your chapter, each chapter is different, but your chapter will sort of have to decide, is the chapter going to create the account and upload them all themselves? Or in some cases, the nominee creates the account and, takes care of uploading their own packages. In the end, the chapter is always going to have to sign off. So there's a fail-safe at the end where a message gets sent to the chapter president, and they have to approve it to release it for final submission. So however your chapter wants to do it is fine. If the executive director wants to create the account, with this, unlike our honors and awards program or call for presentations, we don't require someone to have a member number. So if you have someone working in your office who is doing this for you, they can create the account. Once you create an account, you'll see this screen come up, and it has the information at the top about when the event, cycle is open. But here you'll see about midway down is to click to begin a new nomination, and you can see here a list of sort of nominations that are incomplete, ones that have been submitted. If you have a bunch of different ones, you'll see them all listed here. When you click to create a new nomination, you'll see this, and you'll slowly go through. It'll prompt you with all the steps to create the name of the nominee, the category, and then you'll have to also put their role in. You're going to have to identify a chapter president, the nominee, and once you do that, here's a checklist that you're going to have to follow to do the final submission, and it will just walk you through each one of these steps. The first one is all the contact information for the nominee and chapter president. Additional details is where we ask things like, does the nominee know about this nomination? We still have people who are being anonymously nominated, and we don't want to spill the beans, either way if they don't know that they're being nominated. So that's where you would put that in there. We do ask for a photo and headshot of everyone in 3. 4 is where you're going to upload the PDF, and please just upload PDFs. Don't upload Word. We've been allowing that, but it's just a lot easier in the review process to look at PDFs. 5 is where you put your PowerPoint images if you're doing works, and then 6 is where you're going to final step before submitting. This is something that goes off to the chapter president for verification, and try not to wait until the last minute to do that. Here's where you'd enter all the contact information, and the role is down at the bottom, your drop-down box, and that's where you'd say that someone's a chapter president or a nominee. Here's the additional details I was talking about. Are they aware? Is the nominee, do you allow the jury to change the category of nomination? This does happen every once in a while, where someone thinks, well, maybe I don't see this for service, but actually this fits better in leadership and management, and they've been elevated in that category right on the spot. So if it was me, I would always say yes to that. So you want to verify your membership, although we've already done that, but and then who is your nominating body and who's the chapter. So that is our presentation. We can open up for questions. You can either do the chat. I can unmute everyone, and we can see how that works. So I've just muted everyone. And does anyone have any questions for us?
All right. I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Hi, caramba.
Any questions?
Yeah, I have a question on photoshopping of pictures. Now,
Okay.
If you have an image.
Oh yeah.
Actually, can I ask if you don't have a question, could you please mute yourself?
I think so. Actually, we were gonna connect. Why don't you join us around the corner here? Real
Okay.
Quick. Yeah.
You're going to have to mute.
Are they,
Why don't I'll
Candace
mute
have that?
everyone, and then if you could put your hand up,
are
and
they in
I'll
the
try and find you that way. All right. Okay, hold on. Let's see.
Do we have a hand up?
Okay, I don't see a hand, but we have a chat. All right, let's see. Who does the writing? Someone asked, who does the writing for the nominees themselves? That, I think, varies across the board. I think the nominees do a lot of writing themselves, but then also some chapters help. Ideally, there are a lot of fellows who are involved in the process. They know the process, and it would be great to get them involved to help give advice on writing. Mark, do you have any?
But it should be.
I do. I'm sorry.
It should be in the third person.
Oh, okay.
Yes. Should be in the third person. I've experienced where the nominee has written predominantly everything. I have other cases where chapters work with the nominee, get information, and they have someone who's very good at writing. They write it. So it's done in many different ways, but I agree that with Kay that it should be written in third person, which is very difficult for some to do for themselves usually.
Right. Okay, I have another question about, could you review the rule regarding resubmitting a nominee who has been unsuccessful more than 1 or 2 times? Someone can be nominated 3 times in a row, and then they have to sit out for, it is 1 or 2 years. I'm sorry, I don't have that off the top of my head, but you have 3, hold on, I can find that in the rules of conduct. It's 1 or 2 years. I'm sorry, it's on the website, but you can be submitted 3 times in a row, and then you have to sit out at least 1 year before being resubmitted. Now you can do it 2 years, and then and not be elevated and wait a year, and then you can do it 2 more years, wait a year, and that rule doesn't apply. You can keep doing it like that, but you can only do 3 years in a row, and then either sit out 1 or 2 years. And then let's see. Next question. If renominating a candidate, is there an issue using a previous testimonial if appropriate, since they can take a lot of time and effort? I don't think so, Kay. Do you? Especially if it's an appropriate and good testimonial?
They probably haven't changed their minds.
Who, the testimonial writer, you mean?
The testimonial writer. If you're taking a slightly different approach to a renomination, you might want to talk it over with one of the testimonial writers. Say, can you craft this a little bit more to emphasize this aspect of the career instead of what you said?
And Kay,
right. I mean, it would need to be appropriate and fit. I wouldn't, for example, if you submitted 3 years ago and say the testimonial writer died, I wouldn't resubmit the testimonial. I think that has happened before and it's been noticed.
And Kay, this is Mark. From your experience, have you found that sometimes testimonials are a little flat and they don't give enough specificity to really what they're trying to address about the nominee?
They vary a great deal. How's that for diplomatic?
Very well.
Okay, can you create headings? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
That's why Mark's suggestion that you get more testimonials than you're actually going to need is a good idea.
Okay, next question. Can you create headings for sidebars as you feel appropriate for the nominee, such as civic leadership versus professional leadership? I would definitely stick with certainly start with the main ones of education and some of those are required your professional experience, but beyond that, tweaking them a little bit. What do you think, Kay?
I think you should do exactly that. Start with the major things, but then if there need to be some different nuances, and there really is a very big difference in civic leadership versus professional leadership. So make it appropriate for the nominee and for the category.
Okay, and then someone asked, does all Photoshop on images need to be noted? For example, if the photo is just lightened and the image is not added to or deleted. No, I don't think you would need to note that if you're, say, touching up the photograph, but if you're actually doing reconstruction or projections, onto it, that's what we're talking about. Can chapter presidents write the report even though we have to approve them? Do you mean write the narrative or the summary. If you're talking about the summary, I think that it should be written by the chapter president, but I mean, I think the chapter president could even write the narrative, but I don't know how often that happens.
I think my answer is yes. The chapter president can write it all. They're signing off on it. It'd be good for them to be intimately involved.
Yeah. Mark, what are the duties and responsibilities of the FASLA?
Well, now it has been historically an honor that has been bestowed to individuals for their lifetime achievements. The fellows are currently going through an exercise where they're looking inward to see if there are opportunities for the group of fellows to participate and help the society where appropriate. And we're taking our time, and we're working really hard not to duplicate efforts with the society on a whole. The society, I believe, is run really well, and we don't want to step on toes and do things that aren't productive. At the same time, it has historically been an honor. And there may be fellows who don't really care to participate because they've done a lot through the years and they want to enjoy the honor that was bestowed to them. So we also are working really hard to make sure that no fellow who is a current sitting fellow feels guilty for not participating in doing more. So I hope that that helps answer the question. The answer, simply put, is it has been honorary.
Yeah, and I'm now there's a second part to the question, which sort of informs the first part more. If we anonymously nominate someone, how do we confirm that they will be willing to take on these tasks? So it is an honor. They would not be what they would be required to do is attend a fabulous investiture ceremony and receive a medal and have a great dinner. And after that, they would not necessarily they wouldn't have to take on any responsibilities for being a fellow, if that's what that question is about.
Many of us hope that they will continue to participate at a chapter level to be a leader, to be the leader that they are in what they do, and to help as much as they can participate. That's our big hope.
Okay, can you go into a little more detail explaining the difference between the two deadlines, nomination and submission? What is due at each? Well, the submission, you're submitting the nomination to ASLA headquarters on January 26th. That is the drop dead deadline for the final submission. Chapters may have their own deadlines for submitting the nomination. What you're writing and what you're submitting is the nomination. Now, again, chapters may have different nomination deadlines. They may have fellows committees and other things where they've decided that by October 1st, we're going to know who we are nominating. So hopefully that helps. But the submission deadlines are when you're actually submitting the nomination. And that's either to your chapter for review before it gets finally submitted to ASLA headquarters. Do you need letters from testimonials to back up? No, and please don't send them to us. The only space you have for support and statements from writers is in those 4 boxes, 75 words each plus their name and title. That's not part of the 75 words, but yes.
I'm going to tip in on that. I'm going to tip on that one too, Kurt. I know that individuals who write testimonials, they appreciate the fact they don't have to write a letter. And oftentimes they're going to want some kind of framework. They would enjoy or appreciate framework in terms of what it is that would help the nominee in terms of how they craft their testimonial, if that makes sense. So you might talk about the individuals being nominated for these things, and these are the things that elevate individuals to fellows within that category. Just kind of give them a little outline in terms of what it is that makes them special and how they fall into that category. That'll help the testimonial writer craft their thoughts that are appropriate and accurate, but also help frame the thought, which I think in the end will help the candidate or nominee, excuse me.
Yeah. And Erin clarifies that she was talking about the narrative, a chapter president writing the narrative and or the summary. And as I think everyone said, if the chapter president wants to do that and that's how the chapter, operates, that's fine. There's no conflict of interest with that. And I don't see any other questions. If anyone has any other questions, just feel free to email me. And what I can't answer, I'll work with our executive committee to answer. So please feel free to do that. You can just my email is on the screen, or it was, but so.
I want to thank Kay and Kurt and thank all of you for spending your time with us on this. This is really important. And boy, we sure would love to have quality, well-vetted nominees coming forward so that we can bestow a lot of new fellows. Thank you, guys.
Yes, thanks, everyone.